Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Lauren, has anyone signed up for public comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mark Kaminsky.
Mark?
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to talk a little bit about the raises. I think the 2% was a good compromise. I think the 0% for vacant positions was good. The 1% for people that were just changing positions, I wasn't as comfortable with that. That was maybe a fairness issue there. And I think we need to try to do the same thing with the union employees too. I realize we're just doing this, but our inflation is running up almost nothing, less than 1% most months. So I can't see giving 3% raises. I did have a question on with the solicitor. You know, I go to other meetings. We're the only ones that has a full-time solicitor that I go to. Okay, the school board doesn't, and their budget's $100 million a year too. Not quite as big as the county. The city doesn't, and even as a town, Butler Township. But again, they're both smaller budgets. So I was just wondering if that was something we should look into, just paying by the hour. Just like I have no problem with training the soccer, so I think it's good, but if we should be doing that. So, okay, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else, Lauren?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right, the new business?
May I have the approval?
Oh, yes. We have minutes from our December 10th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New
Yes.
business now.
Under new business, the following additional wage adjustment effective January 1st for the following position. Ask your approval.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say, to avoid mincing any words, we've taken all 153 positions and, 1.99%. That's the total increase. And I think that's the bigger picture, and I think that's what the public needs to know, to really understand this issue. Spent $16,500 on a salary study. I think we've started to implement it. This is not necessarily been an easy route or a fair route. As I've said all along, I think it's the right thing to do.
Thank you, Ben.
I'd like to comment on this.
Okay.
I'd like to comment on this. We got the salary study. This has been a long 2-year process. I want to change some of these for a long time now. I don't know why in the world that people are over the cap on the salary study are on here to get a 1% raise. Maybe Bill McCary or Dale Pinkerton would like to explain that to the public. I cannot explain that to the public. Okay, well, some of these people are really low on the salary schedule, or they've taken the position, they've done well at the position, and they're getting a merit increase here. So I want, on any job you have, if you take it and you take over a new position in a company and you do very well at it, and you're in management, they give you a raise after you proved you can do the job. And a lot of these people, that's the situation here. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But why in the world we did these needed raises and plopped in 3 that are over the top, not just high, over the top in the salary schedule, and they're getting a raise. It is beyond me. They should not be there. The salary schedule can be very easily read. The jobs are categorized into numbers, and if you have a number 14 and the other person has a number 14, you should be relatively, and here the same length of time, with the same responsibility, you should be getting approximately the same amount of money. That is not the case in Butler County. The ball has been dropped for year after year, and it's not taken place. It's favoritism. Now what we're doing here, is I'm gonna vote yes on this, but only because I think the inequity is so terrible with the other people. It should have been changed 2 years ago. We've been fighting about this for 2 years. I think we look silly not to be able to do the right thing. Government, you can't do the right thing because you know, they always say it's the name of the thing, not the person in the office. BS. It's partisan, it's favoritism, and that's what's happening here. The name of the person in the job means a lot. Anybody that tells you that, that's what the battle's about. The people at the top should got favoritism, and that's what it's about over a long term. Now we have to try to counteract that. And I wish, you know, one of the other two would say why they have these people on there that are over the top. You know, I'll let them do that. You know, I wanted to go 0%, not 1% for the people over the top. But the only person in the whole county was Kevin Flaherty. He voted to voluntarily not take it. Well, God bless him. The rest of us, you know, Kevin Flaherty did this, God bless him. He was over the top and he volunteered to take it. But we don't have enough guts in the salary board to make it, to do it. Only people that don't get the raise are the ones that volunteer not to take it. No, that's ridiculous. That's not good government, and that's shirking your duty. Thank you very much.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Under property and revenue, the assessment, the creation of a field appraiser at 18238 with benefits and with retirement. I ask your approval.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Which one are we on now? I apologize.
Property and revenue.
Okay.
Is there a second to the motion? I will second it. Discussion? Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
I made a mistake here. Can I speak on this? You know, can I?
You, care if he speaks? Ben?
No. No.
All right, go ahead.
Look, Chris Savage has done a wonderful job for our county. He's one of the people I just said about getting the raise. Butler County's grown tremendously. Everybody knows that. And as Chairman McCarrier said several times, we have to deal with these, you know, the county's growing. It's a wonderful thing. Well, we can't not have this field appraiser when it's desperately needed. And luckily for us, he has a person that can do both clerical and a field appraisal right now. So Chris has handled that. I feel that he's done a very good job, and I'm going to vote for this. I'm sorry. I'm done with that, but that's why I'm approving this. It's because it's really needed. The county's growing, and who doesn't know that we have a lot more plans and growth in the county.
I think also along those lines, a couple of years ago when Ed Rupert retired, we eliminated some positions at his request. He thought we could do without them, and we found we cannot. We need this position.
Well, I concur with that.
I'll just respond and say that I maintain that it can, this problem, at least for the foreseeable future, could be solved at a fraction of the cost over time.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The motion carries.
Under veterans, the elimination of an administrative clerk part-time at 1262. Individual benefits and retirement. The creation of an administrative clerk full-time 1262 with benefits and with retirement. I ask your approval.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to have discussion on this. John Cyprian's here. Maybe you'd like to answer a couple questions. You know, this 5 months ago, you know, John Cyprian has gone for a long time with just 2 people in his office. And just as we just discussed, veterans, there's a lot of needs for veterans, so I didn't have any problem with that. But when you give somebody I was against this, a 40-hour-a-week person. The person was a part-time regular. And so we give them the position, you gain almost 50% more time in your office by putting on a 3rd person. Well, I think that would be enough for you know, a good wow. Or giving us an explanation why after 5 months you'd want to raise this right away. No, nobody's here. My brother's a veteran for 20 years in the Air Force. nobody is here. I'm very, I appreciate what the veterans has done. This isn't about this. It's about good management of our tax dollars. Now, I did this, and right away it comes up again, and I disagree with this. You know, I disagree with this. I actually got the employees, you know, I wanted to have part-time regulars 32 hours a week, in my opinion. They forced 40 through because the employee was on maternity, going to be on maternity leave. Now, I get the actual records of what the person turned in, and you know, John Cyprian signed off on this or stamped it. Number one, I don't like that. I'd swear that these timesheets have all been stamped. All the managers in the county, including me, have an obligation every 2 weeks to check it out. I do with Peggy. These timesheets have been stamped with his name, I believe. You can show to me different. It's exactly the same length on every sheet. It's stamped, not signed. Now, all the managers have an obligation to look over what the people get. Now, we have people working 80 hours during holiday weeks. You know, so I've gone here, the people had holiday hours, there's a holiday, and they still up for 80 hours. Now, that's pretty amazing to me, unless they came in on those days, on the holiday. Here's 80 time after time. You know, here's one for 16 holiday hours for John and Shawnee, but the other person's worked 77 hours. Now, this is really amazing to me. You know, these should be caught. He can explain this to people, you know, why this happened. You know, we've got a responsibility here, and there might be an explanation for this. I just got it, but feel free to come up, John. Sure. You know.
Right. John, would you like to answer the concerns?
I would love to answer the concerns. First of all, the digital signature commissioner for 20-some years, I've used my digital signature and I email the timesheets out. If you want me to stop using the digital signature, sir, by all means, I'll hand sign them. It's the same thing. It's a lot easier to email up to Linda Sale for the last 20 years than I've been on the job. So that's that. The holiday times, Commissioner, we don't work in the building during the holiday times through Veterans Day, and all our meetings are in the evening times, which Melissa is in charge of taking all the minutes for our meetings for Veterans Day, and the Veterans Luncheon, the Veterans of the Year program. All that stuff doesn't happen overnight, sir. We have meetings that translate to take care of all that stuff. In the very beginning of it, she had to learn the job first of all. So she was working all those hours and extra hours and working through her lunchtime to make up for those hours. If there's any additional questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Do you have a time book or anything?
It's on the time sheet.
No, a time book. You know, it's not on the time sheet. There's
We have
80,
the time card.
there's 80
Time
hours
card.
here with 2 vacation days in a week.
She doesn't get paid vacation.
Well, they got 80 hours.
Well, she
during-
does get 2 vacation days.
There's 80 hours here during, you know.
She
vacation.
gets 2. As a part-time regular commissioner, with all due respect, I never heard of that term until you mentioned it to me in the budget meeting. I never knew what a part-time regular was. So I had a meeting with Lori, and we discussed what a part-time regular was and how many hours that she could be worked, and she could be worked up to 40 hours if the need was there. The need was there.
So you went from 2 people to 3, and you just say, there's no middle ground. You just have to go from 2 to 3,
We've
no
been
matter
meeting
what.
3 people for a while, and for the last 2 or 3 budget meetings, if you recall, Commissioner, I've been given a forewarning that this position was coming, that it was coming, that the need has been there for quite some time.
Well, I mean, I think that we're violating the law too. I do not think that you can have somebody work part-time or have them as
Part-time regular, let's clarify that.
a part-time regular and working 40 hours every week. I'm not for that. I never was for that. I was under the
You're the one that brought it
understanding.
up in the meeting, sir.
Yeah, I wanted it 32 hours a week, and I got outvoted. You said you wanted it 40 hours for when Shawnee had maternity leave, okay?
Right.
And I was under the thing that you weren't going to use the full 40 hours. That's what I was for.
I thought I made myself perfectly clear in there, that if you were gonna just do part-time, not even to give me the part-time, because I didn't want the office to be used as a stepping stone, to get into the county because of the confidentiality that's involved with that position as well, that I'd rather not do it as a part-time.
Under the new federal standards, this actually completely escaped me on Monday morning. I wish I would have thought of it then, but I'm going to address it now. Under the new federal standards with Obamacare, if she averages more than 30 hours, it's not going to matter regardless. So the bottom line is this vote here has a minimal impact on the budget. It affects your office more than it does the budget.
Exactly. Under my impression, a regular part-time person couldn't even get in the pension program or on the healthcare part-time. That's why they did the part-time regular, so that she could get into the pension program and get healthcare. So.
That was the other thing. You said, at least for the foreseeable future, and again, there's no guarantee. This is something that every department head, including myself, has to juggle with their budget.
Right.
But at least for the foreseeable future, she's.
The need is there. The actual, I mean, if you want to get down to it, and I believe about 2 years ago, with Commissioner Pinkerton, the need is there to open a satellite office in Cranberry Township, to put a full-time person there, and to go up to Harrisville and put up there. This is an older county with a high population of veterans. Okay, so I mean, I never even requested. I asked if I could go down to Cranberry. The VA was going to give me office space down there 1 day a week. And Wednesday to be down there every Wednesday down there in Cranberry. There's a tremendous need for that down there in Cranberry.
How does your staffing compare with surrounding counties?
We're one of the lowest personnel office and doing one of the highest, as I gave Ben. We do $1.9 million last year. We outfit the rest of the counties except for Beaver County. Beaver County has 2 satellite offices, one in Cambridge and one in New Brighton, plus 3 people in their office.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie there. When you look at the Adjutant General's office and the figures that come through here with the satellite offices, I mean, they doubled.
They doubled. 4 million.
4 million versus 1.9, a little over 4 million.
Right. And that 1.9, as I explained to Ben, that's all John's work. That's not Shawnee's work or Melissa's work. That's all John's work. And so we got people falling through the cracks who need these benefits. I only have so much of my time. There's only so much time in the day, Commissioner. So with Shawnee on board as a service officer, she's a veteran herself, she can start picking up and doing claims when she comes back from maternity. And we expect that 1.9 is a dramatically increase.
Look, I'm not here to comment about whether.
You're asking about the needs of the office.
I'm here commenting about that we passed to have somebody 32 hours of work, or 40 hours a week. I think we're violating the law. You can't have people working 40 hours a week, say they're part-time, and the persons take 80 hours a week when there's holidays in a week. We've got an obligation. If I did that in my office, these 2 gentlemen would be all over me, and rightfully so. Now, I'm supposed to give you're supposed to get a reprieve. If it was me doing it, they'd just be all over me and be darn glad to do it. We have got an obligation here to keep proper accounting and do the right thing. Okay? 32 hours a week wasn't enough. We went from 2 people doing it to 32 hours not enough. I just don't think it's an air of entitlement here, and we don't want to compromise. My job here is to compromise on issues, and it's very rarely seen around here. I want it, and no matter what. But when I see here that somebody worked 80 hours and there was 2 holidays, she was, hopefully they're writing this down. If this happened with me, I guarantee you, it's never happened. Every week I look over Peggy's, every 2 weeks. We come in, if there's a problem, I discuss it. It's not happened. I think, I'm not saying that your electronic signature, that's fine. But I think everybody ought to run them up to Linda. It's not that far away. How do you prove that you're just not rubber stamping it? I don't have any. No, I don't think we ought to be doing it, okay?
Well, here's my answer to that, sir. I'm still military. You take me out of the military all day long, the military's still in me, and we earn every dollar that we work. We don't give any freebies out in our office, and never have, never will be. And you don't do $1.9 million by giving out freebies of hours. And that's all I have to say.
All right, we've discussed this.
Thanks for following the salary study, too.
You're very welcome.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
The motion carries. Conference time with the media. Tom?
Lawyer Mike would address this. What are the legal limitations on a part-time regular? Part-time regular can't work 40 hours.
No, there's no such statute. It's just a matter of what you have to provide. Look at, as the controller referenced in the Affordable Care Act, if an individual averages over a certain threshold of hours, then you have to provide them a certain level of benefits, kind of complies with all those rules.
Okay, and is that what you meant, Commissioner, that it would be illegal
Look,
to
I
work
think
at
you're
40?
trying to skirt the system and use people. I never wanted to do. Tom, here's my version of that. I'm proud to do what I do. I don't want the prison or the sheriff's department skirting a law to, give hardship on employees. Either we do, at the prison, we're not I believe this was just done to skirt the law. I'm not for that. At the prison, it's beneficial to the part-time regulars. They're only scheduled for 32 hours a week. What you're doing here to, circumvent the system, what you can get away with and what's fair and proper are two different things. And that's what I'm talking about here, okay? At the prison, and the warden, I think we're fully in the sheriff's department, I think we're abiding by the, what to do and what's right. And I don't think this was done properly. That's my opinion, okay? I'm not proud of what was done here.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Kayla?
No questions, thank you.
Motion to adjourn? Second?
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.